What kind of song could I sing today? At the Copacabana, the hottest spot north of Havana. At the Copacabana, music and passion are always in fashion. At the Copa, they fell in love. What's up, party people on the street? Actually, I'm not on the street, am I? I'm not. I'm here. Today, I just want to go over something that is small, but it's actually big when it comes to manifesting. And it's just a follow-on from yesterday's video when we were talking about writing out your dream and then going for the second highest dream and then the third. There's something that I really want to just tell you that's really important in the process. Her name was Lola. She was a showgirl with yellow feathers in her hair and her dress cut all the way down to there. Something like that. She would merengue and do the cha-cha. And while she tried to be a star, Tony always tended bar across the crowded floor. They worked from 8 to 4. They were young and they had each other. Who could ask for more? Welcome back to day 12. And let's lay down these 2 things that will help you get things easier, better, and faster. Going off what we spoke about yesterday, when you're writing a list for manifesting, 2 very important things. The first thing is to be very clear on what you want. I spoke about this yesterday in the video, but I want to go over this for certain reasons. The first thing is to be very clear, and the second thing is to not be too limiting. Her name was Lola. She was a showgirl. Oh my gosh, I need to get out of this hood. The first thing is to be clear, but not limiting. So this is what I mean. When you are getting clear about what you want, remember I said already to be clear about what it is you want and also to be clear about the emotions that you want to feel as well. That is so important. I can't impress upon you how important that part is. It's even more important than getting stuff, is how you want to feel. Because if you feel how you want to feel, that means whatever you're doing in your life is providing the feelings that you want. So it would be perfect. Really, things would be perfect. So you want to make sure that you're putting those feelings in there. And I know we have the tendency that we want this and we want that. But the Copa, they fell in love. They fell in love. I always get that part messed up. They fell in love. But the emotions are really what is the most important. So make sure at least that you are putting those in there. Peace, happiness, faith, trust, love, feeling abundant, feeling fulfilled, feeling loved, whatever it is, just make sure those things are in there because ultimately that is what you're looking for through the things that you're asking for. Truth. When you're getting clear, I say don't be limiting. And this is what I mean. Many times we limit what we want in the process. So say that you wanted to manifest a house, okay? So you're writing your list for this house and you could say something like, it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, and it's 2 stories, and it has 4 trees, and it has property in the back, that you want certain amount of bedrooms and certain amount of bathrooms, and what your property would like to look like. However, it's always better that no matter what you say about your list, about what you want, that at the end you always write this or better. That way, you're not only like cornering in this exact thing. The thing is, the universe has a much more abundant attitude, perception. It wants to give. And it's like I see the floodgates, that the floodgates want to open and just give. But we would be like, oh, well, a 2-bedroom with 1 bathroom, that's good enough. With the money I make, maybe you're manifesting it for $200,000 or something. The money I make, I can afford like just $200,000. And in this particular neighborhood, because this neighborhood has houses in that price range. I mean, I'd rather be in that neighborhood, but I'm not going to find a house in that price range in that neighborhood. So I've got to settle for this neighborhood in this city, even though I'd rather be in that city, in that neighborhood. But because I can only afford this kind of house, this is where I'm going to have to concentrate. Okay? Wrong. Zip. They fell in love. Put on the brakes. Stop. If there is something that you really want, then there is a way to receive what you want. I know that you're going to have to start learning how to open your energy, open your mind, allow these new mindsets to come in and not limit yourself based on what you know. Because that is what we do. We think that money only comes in by our jobs, or money, however money comes in for you, that's the only way that you're thinking that money can come. And you have to stop doing that. You have to start realizing that money can come in all different ways. And you might think that, well, the only way I've ever gotten money before is from my job or from whatever. But that doesn't mean that's the only way money can come in. There have been times like when back in the day I needed $1,100 for something and didn't know how I was going to get that. If it was just depending on my job, there was no way I could figure out how that would happen to have that extra amount of money to come in. But I was already practicing the law of attraction and manifesting. And I was saying, I'm open to receiving in all known and unknown ways. And I received a check from an insurance company for $1,150. And it was out of the blue. I didn't even know that insurance company owed me money. And to be honest, I don't even know why that insurance company owed me money. And at the time, I just was like, well, I'm not going to spend this because if they come back and then I'm going to have to pay it and I wouldn't know how I was going to do that. So I just put it in my drawer for like a week or two. And then I decided I've got to stop doing that, because if I do that, I'm going to manifest that happening. So I'm going to trust. I was like, I needed this $1,100. I didn't know where it was going to come from. And here comes this check for $1,150, $50 extra just because, right? This or better. This or better. Okay. And so I cashed a check and never heard another word. The universe knows how to make miracles happen. Believe me, I have had too much evidence to show me over and over again that these kind of things just happen if you would open your mind to them, if you would believe that they could happen. I'll tell you another amazing story that happened to me. When I was moving to Egypt, I wanted $15,000 before I left. So I didn't know how I was going to get $15,000, but working on manifesting, I just did what I do, okay? And so it was about a week before I was leaving, and I had already made $5,000 of this $15,000. And I was like, okay, well, anyway, just, what can you do? You just keep trudging along, right? Well, I taught my last meditation class that week, And then I had several days before I was actually leaving on the plane. And on the last day of my class, one of my students had given me a card, and she just said, here, you can just read this later. I just wanted to give this to you. So I'm like, okay. And I stuck it in my purse and completely forgot about it. I had a lot on my mind, obviously. So a few days later, I was driving to get my hair done. And I remembered, I forgot that card was given to me. And so I was sure it was just a thank you card. And I thought, that's nice. And so it was a long distance that I was driving. I just kind of pulled the card out of my purse and I opened it up and I saw there was a check folded in there. And I was like, oh, wow, that's so nice of her. She probably gave me like $100 or something. That was like so super nice. And so I opened up the check and I saw all these zeros. And I was like, what? And I looked at the check again and it was $10,000. And so I was, manifesting the 15,000. I had made 5,000 and here was the 10,000. And this was literally like 2 days before I was leaving for Egypt. And I was floored. I was shocked. I never expected that in a million years. I never expected that. I mean, it's probably the biggest manifestation ever for me as far as, just receiving cash like that out of the blue. And I was shocked. I was shocked and I was surprised. And this was the 15,000, right? So that meant that I was really open to receiving that. My energy and what I was doing to manifest was aligned with it because it happened. It just fell into place. Well, of course, I was thanking her. I was just like, oh my gosh, you have no idea. Like, this is like totally saving me here. And I'm so grateful. And, she basically was just really happy that I had helped her so much in the past years. And she always wanted to thank me, but she didn't know how to thank me. And she just felt like, what, this is a good time to do this, figuring, I'm moving and everything. And so she was, I'm sure, totally guided because it was just like the perfect timing. So I want to take this story, this amazing miracle story further. So after she gave that check to me, the next day she received an unexpected gift from her father for $15,000. Do you see how the universe works? These aren't just like coincidences. Here we get, I'm getting tingles, I'm getting chills, and that's always like the angels confirming. I was very specific. I was like 15,000, this or better. I had the 5, I got the 10. She gifted me so lovingly and so supportively. I'm just forever feel so grateful to her for doing that. And, she opened her heart and just gave from her heart, not expecting anything. And what? Her father gifts her $15,000 just out of the blue. So it's funny how the universe used the same exact amount in both cases, because that's like confirming, like saying, hey, look at this, this is real, the real deal, this is how this works. So if you think that things can't come out of the blue, then you're very limited. You've got to learn how to shed these limitations and allow these miracles into your life. And they're not really miracles. In fact, the universe is so abundant. It's nothing. Like 10,000 is nothing to the universe. 10,000 is the same as $1, as 100,000, as 1,000,000. Honestly, you just have to be open. Your energy has to be open enough to receive that. And I'm going to talk about that in another video, how to open your energy and what that means. You have to put out there, this is what you desire, this or better. I am open to receiving in all known and unknown ways. Thank you. Give gratitude. Thank you. To be honest with that, when I was working on the 15,000, I wasn't freaking out about it. Yes, of course, I could totally use it. Like it really, when I say it saved me, I wouldn't have died without it, but totally I was able to like pay off bills and then have money to go off on my journey into Egypt with. But I wasn't freaking out. And that's the thing. You can't be freaked out. You can't be worried. You can't be doubting. You can't not believe it. You just have to take it with, you know what? It's possible. I know. I'm asking for it. Asking it is given. It really is. And the more that you open and do this, and the more that you receive blessings and you receive these synchronicities and these miracles, you have to start saying, I have evidence. This happened to me. That happened to me. This is, you'll have your stories just like I have my stories. I have so many stories. I have so many stories. And talking about the house thing, I was manifesting a house for like 10 years. That was like the hardest thing for me to manifest. And, listen to me when I say I'm manifesting. I am so against talking like that because that's saying that you don't have it. And that's probably why it took me like 10 years for this house. But when I was talking about being clear on your list and not being limiting, I had written on my list, I don't remember what I said, like three bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, bright and airy, a view of the bay. And I was thinking Hawaii. Okay, I was like, I wanted a house with a view of the big bay. I asked for a view of the big bay and maybe even a little garden. And so when, long story short, there was a lot of things that were connected with that miracle story, but ended up manifesting this house. And to the T, it was exactly how I described it. Even down to a view of the big bay and this little garden. Now, if I would have said a big garden, I probably could have had a big garden, but I limited myself by, just throwing little things in there thinking, that's probably what I could get in the area. The only difference was this house wasn't in Hawaii, it was in the Bay Area, but it was hilarious when I realized that I even got a view of the big bay. The Bay Area, I had a huge view of the big bay, huge view. And half of my house had a view of this big bay. So I had to laugh at the universe like really very funny. And even from my bed, with the windows, I leave the curtains open because nobody could see, and there was up on a hill. From the bed, I look out, and the only thing I could see was the sky and one palm tree. And I mean, the universe has a sense of humor. So I totally manifested down to every possible detail, except it was in a different location. And that's because I needed to be in that location rather than in Hawaii at that time for whatever reason. So the point of this is be really clear about what you want. You can say you want 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms or whatever your limitations are, but don't say it has to be in this neighborhood because that's the price range of it. I can't be in that neighborhood because they don't have houses in that price range. You never know. You might be able to move into an amazing neighborhood with an amazing house for the same price. You don't ever know what people are going to do, why people don't want to sell their houses for certain amounts of money. You just never know. So you write down what you absolutely want in your house, yes. But you say, this neighborhood would be great, that neighborhood would be great. Don't limit yourself and say, well, that neighborhood's out, but that's where I really want to live. I'll settle for that. Like, how limiting does that sound? Listen to yourself. When you say things, when you think things, when you're feeling things, do they feel limiting? If they do, really think about that and say, you know what, this feels limiting. How can I expand the way I'm saying this so it feels more abundant? Because when you are limiting, you close, your energy is like closing. When you are abundant, your energy feels open. And when you're open, more can come in. When you're limiting, you're closing down, the less can come in. So you're going to affect your experience. So don't just think that because you only make this much money that that's all you have to be able to afford, or that neighborhood or that kind of house. State what you need. Say, I'd love this area, that area, this area, that area, this or better. Always end it with this or better, because what will happen is, guaranteed, the universe will always give you better, because it's easier for the universe to give you more than it is for the universe to give you less. Did you hear that? I want you to hear this. It's easier for the universe to give you more than it is for it to give you less. Why is that? because the universe is all that is. The universe is abundant. The universe doesn't know limitation. The universe doesn't know lack. The universe doesn't know being small. It only knows being comfortable, being open, being abundant. So it's really hard for it to, if you're, this is all that is for me. This isn't me. The universe has a hard time getting in there because the universe is like, hey, I'm the universe. I'm the universe and I'm big. I'm not this. I can't fit in there. It's really hard for me to get in there. So either it's not going to get in there, or it's not going to get in there very well, or it's not going to get in there at all. Okay? Or you'll get something very little and tiny. And it might take a lot longer too, because it's hard for it to fit in there. So if you do get it, it'll probably take you longer because it's very hard for the big, awesome universe to fit in your little tiny limitation. I really want you to get that. That's one of the biggest tips that I could possibly ever give you. If you learn nothing else, you need to know that. That is huge. Music and passion were always the fashion at the Copa. They fell in love. They fell in love. They fell in love. So number 2 is very simple. Write it down. It's always much more powerful when you write things down, because then you have something to look at and you want to review it. You might say, you know what? I decided that's not important. Or, you know what? I decided I do want this in there. I'm going to write that down. Or I decided I'd rather live in this area too. That's a possibility. So I want to write that down too. Every time you make a change, however, just know that you kind of restart a little bit, because the universe has to reorganize the energy. And I'm going to talk about that later too, because that's really important. I know that's another reason that it took me a long time to manifest that house. So I'm going to talk about that in another video. So write it down, because it becomes more solid for you and it becomes more solid for the universe. Then you have something to look at and adjust as you'd like. And then this or better. This or better. I want you to pay attention. When you're writing things, when you're thinking about what you want, are you feeling limited by something because you think it has to be that way? Because if you feel that way, I want you to just shake it off and take a nice deep breath and say, no, I'm opening my energy. And I'm saying to the universe, this is great what I'm looking for, this or better, because I know the universe is this big, abundant energy and it wants to give me better. So I need to keep my energy open and expect even better than I think that I can have. You've got to start paying attention to your energy to feel if it feels lackful or closed or small, or if it feels open and big and breathing and flowing, because that is going to make or break your manifesting. Okay? So just some short little tips here today, but very important tips. And start paying attention, because this can make or break your manifesting. His name was Rico. He wore a diamond. He was escorted to his chair and he saw Lola dancing there. And when she finished, he called her over. But Rico went a bit too far and Tony sailed across the bar. And then the punches flew. The chairs were smashed in two. There was blood and a single gunshot, but who shot who at the Copacabana, the hottest spot north of Havana, at the Copacabana. Music and passion were always in fashion at the Copa. That's enough of Lola, Tony, and Rico, because Lola ended up getting old and that wasn't her place to dance no more. So she needed to manifest a new story, don't you say? Anyway, all right? So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you all tomorrow on day 13. See you all later.